Welcome to Grind 365, the podcast. This here is another episode. It's a special one. I got the man, the myth, the legend, my homie, Wildcard.
What's up, y'all?
Wildcard the Dragon.
What's going down?
Spitting hot fire.
You know what I mean?
What's up with you, man?
Thanks for having me, man.
No, thank
Good
you
to
for
see
being
bro,
here.
For sure. Known you a long time.
We go back like 4 flats on a Cadillac.
You know what I mean? Yeah, man.
Man, let's just to get into it, man. Let the people know where you from, man.
Well, right now I wanted to continue talking about how they're going to shut down Deja Vu,
Ooh.
the strip club. For real, they are,
Yeah.
bro. September 9th. But anyway, no, all jokes aside, they really are, though. Rest in peace. But
Hey, and they're closing the Lucky You Lounge,
they're closing that too. I never had the privilege of doing a show
Neither
there.
have I.
I've seen shows there, you know what I mean? But
I've
that
seen
kind
show
of
there.
came like more, recently.
Yeah.
But so I'm from Southern California, the Pasadena area, down in LA County. I was there for 21 years, about almost 22 years. I moved to Spokane, and I've been up here for about 18 years. So I'm telling my age now, but fuck the world. Can we cuss?
Yeah.
Oh, thank God. I didn't.
Come on now.
But so I've been up here, and then I go back and forth. So I consider Spokane my second home, but it's been my most current home for the last 18 years.
Okay.
So there's been a lot of history with both areas. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen you guys call it the SGV.
Yeah, the San Gabriel Valley. That's
Yes.
like the so you know where San Fernando Valley is, like the valley, like where porn and all that shit, like Valley Girl, all that. That's the valley to the west. That's, you know what I mean? And we're the valley to the east, almost to the IE, to San Bernardino
The Inland
County and all that
Empire.
shit. Yeah. So we're still in LA County. But yeah, so the 10 freeway, the 210 freeway, 605 freeway, all that shit, just in case you're interested in freeways.
Yeah. No, I've been to Cali maybe a handful of times, but I can't even say it's been a real detailed trip. It's just kind of been there vacation like and in and out, you know.
Yeah.
So Sacramento, LA, actually I'm hitting San Francisco up here in a couple months. So we bouncing around Cali as often as we can.
Yeah, man, no, it's beautiful. You know what I mean? To me, that's all I knew for so long, for the whole first half of my life, you know what I mean? And then I've always had family and friends that are still there, so I go back and forth, and I've gone there for a couple years, and then I'll come back here, so that's just how it's been for the last 18 years,
Yeah, man, speaking of family, you got siblings?
I have a couple half brothers, one from my mom's side and one from my dad's side, but I'm the only child of my parents.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And my first brother was born when I was 11. So I kind of, you know what I mean, was already sort of, I don't know. By 12, I was like getting in trouble and running amok and shit. And so I didn't have like a little brother I gave noogies to
man.
and all that. You know what I mean?
I wanted, let me know how it is growing up and, in the SGV.
Yeah, no, I mean, if anybody's ever listened to my music, and my dad is sober now, but he was on drugs at the time, meth cook, in and out of prison. So there was a lot of crazy shit that I saw when I was a little kid, you know what I mean? And chaos, you know what I'm saying? Just a lot of chaos, And they broke up. My mom and dad broke up when I was like 4 or 5. Mom got with who ended up being my stepdad, and I never got along with him. So I just was always looking for like something to, I was just in a lot of pain and like chaos as a kid, and you know what I'm saying, or whatever, visiting my dad in the prison in the desert. We drive out all through the prison in the desert in California, go see him in prison when I'm like a youngster and shit like that or whatever. And so by the time I was 12, I found music first, though. Music came first, like as far as my mom would buy like a little cassette tape when we could afford it, buy me a cassette tape. I remember like Ice-T and shit, and Chili Peppers and Rage and all these, around like the early 90s, you know what I mean? But drugs and alcohol came when I was like 12 years old. I found like an escape, and movies too was an escape. I wanted an escape at all times from how the shit was,
So your father and your mom split very early?
Yeah,
Is that safe to say?
Yeah.
Was that due to like prison or was
No,
it?
it would like just drug addiction and shit, you know what I'm saying? And my dad was wilding out, and there was just a lot going on at the time, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what it was, in the beginning, you know what I mean?
And you said, was it ages 6 to 18 you was with your moms?
No, he was what you mean, like when they were
Well,
together?
you were staying with your mom. You
When
as
6
a
to 18 was my stepdad.
okay, with
You
your
know what I
stepdad.
mean?
Okay.
But my real dad was in my life a little bit, you know, but like I would get in trouble at school and my mom would be like, you know, you got to talk to your dad now, and she dropped me off kind of in a more like crazy neighborhood where my dad was at that was really like trapped out, but she didn't know, you know. So I'd have these experiences with people that were pretty sick into like drug addiction, even though my dad was like, yo, don't expose my kid to my lifestyle or whatever, you know, like some of his friends, I would like go off with them and shit, you know what I mean? At like 15, you know what I'm saying? Like, or like their dudes would get out of prison and he'd be like, yo, check it out, this fool's gonna talk to you in the room right now. And I'd be like, man, why? Is he gonna, you know, when you're like a little buster ass kid, you're like, man, was he gonna try to scare me or something? He's like, it ain't about scaring you, dog. And then I'd walk me in the room, dude's all tattooed and shit, you know, I'm like, and he's like, they don't know though how to teach a kid. So he didn't whoop on me, or that particular time didn't whoop on me, but he was like, hey, you know, your dad's saying you're fucking up the school, man. You don't want to do that. I just got out the gym, blah, 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 you know. And I'm like, hey, you got a cool jacket. It just backfired. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, you know. Anyway, so that was part of it, man. I just looked for an escape, you know what I mean, early on.
He tried to get the homies to intimidate you as a kid.
Yeah, which they were intimidating, you know what I'm saying? But even when I got older and I had other family members, you know what I'm saying, they kind of brought me in, you know, and sort of showed me like, if this is what you want to do with your life, this is what it's going to be, like how the streets or whatever in the fucking drug world and that type of shit are, you know what I mean? And I didn't really want that, but I wanted it to continue to escape, you know, like, so there was a lot of like chaos, man, a lot of chaos, you know what I'm saying? Especially down there before I even came to Spokane. It was a lot of chaos off and on, you know?
So, I mean, obviously, it kind of didn't work because you were still getting in trouble as a kid, right?
Well, yeah, but then, you know, I sobered up at 18, man. Like right before I turned 19, I got involved in recovery, and I was just tired of feeling like shit, and at this point, I was smoking weed and drinking hard drugs a little bit here and there, but they weren't sticking yet, you know? And I sobered up, and then I only lasted about a year and a half, and then when I fell off, I fell like way off, you know what I mean? And then was more into the hardcore stuff, you know what I'm saying? And then that's really when I want to say I saw like a lot of spiritual things, like dark spiritual things, you know what I'm saying? That to the untrained eye, people don't, you know, some people that don't believe in that type of shit is like, nah, you were just on drugs, you were tripping. But I feel like I saw things that were out of this world, not just regular hallucinations, but things where I feel like, you know, there was like demons close by, you know, and if I kept going that way, it was gonna be going dark.
Yeah,
We going dark.
I feel it
right in the first 10 minutes. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, back in was it 1999? You went to the boys' home in Utah.
Yeah.
And how old was you then?
16.
16.
Yeah.
Okay.
December 9th, 82, just in case anybody wants to know, the man, the myth, the legend. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
you got a winter birthday.
Say what?
You got a winter?
Yeah. It's all right though.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm a fall guy.
Pick the birthday present or the Christmas present, what you want.
Oh, you know,
that kind of thing. You know what
I mean? I know how that goes too well.
But I went there. I went to Cross Creek Center for Boys. It ended up getting closed down because they said the kids were getting abused and shit eventually or whatever. I particularly didn't run into any physical abuse from staff, but I saw, you know, kids running into like problems, you know what I'm saying, there. So it's basically, it was a reform school was like the old term for it, you know. It wasn't like YA though, you know, which would probably be a lot more dangerous as far as like the gang activity and shit like that, but it was like kids that were in trouble and they get sent away. And
was this kind of like the juvenile in a sense?
Yeah, it was a juvenile like boys home. Okay. You know, like you're in trouble, like troubled teen program type shit. Right. You know what I mean? And Utah had a lot of them, and I think they still do. Once in a while, I'll still look up, you know, like that place, because I never saw none of them kids again. But I made friends with a lot of them. You know what I mean? I made friends with a lot of them. But yeah, so that's where I was at. I was in Laverkin, Utah, Cross Creek Center for Boys in '99.
And then what age you said you was starting to rap?
So that was right around then,
Okay.
15. And I credit that place too, because that's where I really, like, when I was just playing with it, you know, like I was just rapping, like, you know what I mean? And the friends would be like, yeah, it's all right, you know what I mean? And then I went in there and started really writing. Like the first time I ever wrote a real song, I was in there. And then I came out and I was like spitting, you know what I mean? People were like, oh shit, what?
Did you have the boom boxes and the cassette tapes
Man,
back
we had
then?
all the Sing-A-Lodian karaoke machine where you dub the one tape
Yeah.
on the other tape. We had the Chronic 2001 instrumentals were big right there. So we
Yes.
had that on there, and then we would just sit there and rap tapes over tapes over tape. Man, I think I only have one tape, and I left out of all the years that, you know, moving or there's something happened. There's one tape out there, and I gotta find it. But I remember seeing it not too long ago, dog.
Hey, I got one too, and I go back and I hear my little 13-year-old voice, and I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
Like,
Nah, but
you
we
know,
were getting it though.
Yeah.
That young, wild energy. You know what I mean? Before it turned into like a business, at least for me, like a business where it's still a passion, but I need to, you know, like to make the right marketing moves and all that shit that gets, you know, we're
Yeah.
just rapping with the hood on, blowing on weed. You know what I mean? And yeah.
Well, I mean, what was your first rap name? Was it always Wildcard?
Nah, man, I went by like Kane and fucking with the K. Like, that was really it. I didn't get Wildcard until, it was around then. It was around a couple years later, but yeah, a bunch of stuff that never stuck. I didn't know what to call myself. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you something. What's the QM?
So
stand?
QM is like the crew, the quality music crew that we had a long ass time ago. Like,
Okay.
just a little crew that like we wanted to put the quality music stamp on all the albums, and we don't really do the stamp anymore. But I got the LLC for it and all that shit. You know,
Was that like a crew that you got together?
it wasn't like a big old collective. It was just basically me and Poet and like a little kind
Okay.
of little like little mini independent label before that was even really a thing. You know. It was just a little, you know, like to put the stamp on things, and then I turn it into an LLC, and then, you know what I mean?
So you was talking about your influences earlier with you know, the likes of Ice-T and stuff like that, and I would imagine your flow probably progressed, you know, because you know, being a chopper, you know.
Yeah.
So how did that all, like, what was the influence to rap fast and stuff like that?
I mean, of course, Bone back in the day, you know what I'm saying? Bone, we loved that, like the East 99 album. We would study that. That's the first time I ever learned how to rap fast, was slowing them dudes down, like, and then being like, oh, that's what he said. And then I would write it out and shit. Just when we had way too much time on our hands as a hobby listening to music. And then the first thing I ever got where I rapped fast was Busy Bone's verse on Notorious Thugs, where it was like 7 a.m. up in the morning. I wrote that out, you know, and then I started performing that out loud, you know, when the song would come on the radio. Like I just always remembered the memory of a car full of youngsters, kids, whiling out, drinking, smoking weed, hoods on, driving around the city at nighttime with the windows down. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's like where I remember, you know what I mean? And I did that plenty of times throughout life, you know?
We're going to get into it later, but
Yeah.
I know, you know, your ties with Bone Thugs and stuff. And
Yeah.
when I was young, I lived in Tacoma, Washington for just a little bit. And I remember just, like you said, it was always Busy Bone. It was something about Busy Bone. And I'd be looking in the little sliding mirror, you know, the little door and stuff in the back, and you can see your reflection. So I'm sitting here trying to
Just getting in
mimic
their
Busy Bone,
reflection.
you know what I'm saying? The parents used to see it all the time, and they start cracking up. But Busy, man, he had everyone trying to bust like him, man. Just
Me too. I was one of them as a young kid. I was like, you know,
yeah.
I never thought I could do it myself, really. I wasn't even thinking that far. I was just like, this dude's like killing it, you know? And Krayzie Bone too.
Krayzie,
I gotta
of
shout out
course,
Krayzie
right.
for sure. But the first verse I ever remembered and spit, like actually verbally spit out loud, was the Busy Bone Notorious Thug shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the fast, at least, you know? And then, Yeah, and then I just started picking it up. Like I started feeling the
Tories came hard on that too, you know.
yeah, all of them did. That was like a classic, super classic from my era. You know what I mean? I don't know how old you are, if you won't even say, but if you're around that era.
Oh, I'm in my mid-30s, but
okay.
you know,
I usually say late 30s, but I can't say it no more, big dog. You know, fuck the world. I mean.
Shit. Well, you being a West Coast guy, you more Pac, you more Notorious B.I.G.
Hey, I mean, you know what happened? Well, Pac was our mascot. Growing up in LA County was our mascot. I mean, you know what I mean? That was, you know. I fuck with both of them, though. That's just the bottom line, you know? But as a kid, he was like...
It was Pac,
California
right?
Love. And, you know what I mean? Like, in LA County at the time in the 90s, oh, my God. You know what I mean? It was just... Machiavelli came out.
Was you afraid to bump Notorious B.I.G. back then?
Nah.
No?
I was a little kid, you know what I mean? I wasn't all into that shit, you know what I mean? And how serious they were talking about how it was getting. I was just a little kid. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But even later on, I would tour, though, and from the West Coast to the East Coast, and I always had so much love for everybody and the East Coast dudes, you know what I mean? Like, I have a lot of friends out there, and I don't know. I loved Wu-Tang, though, you know what I mean? All that shit. Grave Diggers was my favorite, was RZA, and RZA from the Wu-Tang had a little horrorcore group. I shouldn't say little horrorcore group, but they weren't obviously as popular as like Wu and shit. But that's the group that got me like, oh shit. Like there was a dude named the Grim Reaper in their crew, and he was wild with it. He'd be like, Sparks to the dog. Like he just rapped so different than everybody. And I'd be like, oh my God, you know? And we were little weed dealers at 17 years old, and we were smoking weed. And I remember being so blown on weed, listening to the Gravediggers album. It felt like they were standing on the hood, rapping through the fucking windshield at us. You know what I'm saying? We were just like blown, like, oh my God, this shit is crazy, man. So the music got to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I wish... many years gone by, and I don't know if there's any recouping because I never got into Wu-Tang, and so I wish I did.
You still can, bro.
I know.
You know what I mean?
That's true.
I mean,
you,
though.
The Method Man and Redman, though. Yeah. I mean, growing up with that collabo right there, that duo, excellent. Just as the group, I was so stuck in the West Coast mind state. I mean, don't get me wrong. I listen to East Coast.
I hear what you're saying, though.
You know, I was just so stuck in that. So later on, Big did like really, we knew Big songs.
Oh yeah.
But I'm like, damn, why was I hating on this and this? And it was all a dream. I'm like, man, this is like the life story right here. This is the stuff that gives you the chills.
Yeah.
So I'm like, why was I, the whole beef had me caught up in, I'm choosing sides. I'm Pac. So as the homies was like, we was always just Pac.
Yeah. I'm sure that's how it was for a lot of people too. I mean, I wasn't, I don't know. But I remember somebody brought the Ready to Die to school, and I heard suicidal thoughts. When I die, fuck it, I want to go to hell.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I had never heard nobody say that shit. You know what I mean? So like I was like, damn, that's like mind blowing too. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm feel grateful that I grew up in that era. Not to be stuck in like my old ways or nothing. That shit spoke to me. Like the whole vibe. The way I dress now is from then. Like the way you know what I mean? Like I just like adopted that style and the way of it, and then added my own like flavor to my own music throughout the years. But yeah, if all that shit wasn't there, I don't, you know what I mean? I'd have a different take on things, I think,
And then I'm sure the older you were, the more you understood,
Oh, for sure.
I was probably about 8 or 9 by the, I think I was 8 when Pac died, you know? So, I mean, I definitely cried as a kid, you know?
I think I was like 14. 13 or 14,
So, it's,
But yeah, especially when he's like, revenge is like the sweetest joy next to getting pussy. Ain't getting no pussy yet. You know what I mean? But you're singing along to the motherfucker. You know what I'm saying, dog? You know what I mean? Now I understand exactly what you were saying, Pac. I hear you, brother.
He's just giving you a heads up, you know when you get
he's
older.
Like, you don't need this layer, big dog,
you made a song about killing Pops.
I mean, which one are we talking about?
Well, that's the one I'm asking.
When I was in Utah, that's the first song I ever did. I wrote was not killing my actual dad.
It was
right?
Stepfather.
Yeah, the
Okay,
first song
so that's-
ever, 2002, that we ever went into a studio and did was called Liquid Red. It ended up on my first album that came out. Didn't come out till 2007, but
Wait a minute, you did multiple?
so, well, yeah, I mean, there was a lot of pain, you know. Once I learned how to rap, I'm like, yeah, fuck all y'all, you know what I mean?
You was really
But-
getting your Tupac on.
But yeah, no, the first song I ever wrote was like towards my dad, like you know, feeling neglected and abandoned by him and shit, you know. And I've made amends with him later in life, but yeah, as a kid, wilding out, drinking, no real life experience, forgiveness, none of that, you know. That was but the first one we ever went into a studio and did was Liquid Red. That was in
Okay.
2002, man.
And that was on The Stepfather.
That was the step. That was
Talk about the lab, man.
Okay, so Liquid Red we didn't do at the lab. We did it at this dude Josh Wheeler's house from Alhambra, California. Shout out Josh. Shout out Dave Love.
Shout
all
out
the
Josh.
cats from Alhambra. And Almost Home was a group of my homegirls that were down there too, Vanessa and Shahana. Anyway, now I just started remembering, but he had a home studio at his house, like back then, like 2002. He was a studio engineer, and I had never now I'd practice way before I go into the booth, but I didn't know. I had no booth etiquette or nothing. And he had me rapping in his bathroom for the acoustics. He had the mics, and I taped up the pieces of paper on the mirror and shit, you know what I mean? And was like trying to read it and, you know, a million
That's
takes
creative.
and-
That's creative.
Yeah, but that's the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I remember that that was the first time I didn't know to prepare. I was like, cool, what are we doing? I got it right here. Are you ready to rap the motherfucking
Yeah.
shit? So
You just reading off the paper
yeah,
now
I
rather
mean,
than.
I was getting it, but I remember the second verse was fast too, and it was just bars. A lot of bars were, and you know how it goes when you just get bars throughout, and then you're rapping and ciphering with the same bars or whatever. One of like it was like fuck rigga discrepant, I gotta be never discrepant. It was one of them just straight
Oh,
bone
shit, okay.
type of vibes, you know. I had that one, and anyway, that's where Liquid Red was. But the lab was a back house where my grandpa lived. My dad stayed in the back house. There was drug activity there. He got locked up. I went to Utah, came out, and made it into our little makeshift studio. You know what I mean? So that was more like rapping, ciphering, making tapes. But Josh had like the more refined studio mix.
So were you like
know?
bouncing back and forth or something?
Well, with Josh, it was really only that song. You know what I
Okay.
mean? It was just Liquid Red, and then I sat there with the single for like 5 years. I was like letting everybody hear the one single I did at the studio. You know what I mean? But the lab was like tapes, rapping. We'd all get in there, drink, party. You know what I mean? And just get on the mic and rap. It was a little sing-a-lodian thing. You know what I'm saying? And my boy Jason Leventree, was with me at the time. He was rapping too. We were just, yeah. But that's what it was. And it was like if those walls could talk, all the shit that it had seen through all the generations of the family, and you know what I mean? It was a trippy spot.
I could imagine.
Yeah,
I could imagine.
It was trippy, man, you know. But that's what we called it, the lab.
The
I remember
lab.
something like an older cat was like, I wouldn't even call that the lab, man. You know what I'm saying? With Pops is like doing this and that. I'm like, you know what I mean? But it all worked out and shit. Like, but yeah, that was his thing.
Where was your pops at when the lab was all when you put it together?
He was in prison.
Yeah.
In 99, he was in prison. I remember I wrote to him. I was in the boys' home. I wrote to him in prison. We were both like locked up in our own, you know what I mean, way in 99 and shit. You know what I'm saying? And but then I got out before he got out, and then I made it like my little space, you know. And then we, you know, I think, man, where the hell was he? He was gone for like a while, you know what I mean? He did a few years here and there at a time and shit, but yeah, like 17, all of 2000, that was the summer of love for me, the year 2000.
2000.
You know, Eminem, the Marshall Mathers LP was coming out.
Yeah.
And I was just like wilding, you know what I mean? Like we were like, hey, we're smoking weed, selling. We were like, we should get some girlfriends. Boom, got a couple cousins, you know what I mean? We're just with them smoking. I had the sunglasses on my face, all fucked up like Weekend at Bernie's, just drunk, weeded out, no problems in the world, you know what I'm saying? And it was just rapping and all that. And then I went to Juvenile Hall, and then that was like, oh yeah, you want to keep playing out here, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I kind of needed to be stopped because I was sort of the anger and all the shit, and you know what I mean, wanting to fight and fuck around, you know. It was like all right, here you go. Here's some, these kids are real gangsters. Like, you know what I mean? This is what it's about to be forever if you don't fuck, you know. And then I was like, man, fuck, you know. I'm like, man, I know I can do, man, I don't know, you know. And I was on probation, and I graduated high school, and I remember they were UA in me, so I couldn't smoke weed. So I didn't smoke weed for the whole year, you know. But I would drink beer and shit, and I don't know, man. So that's like 18 years old, you know. And then I had been introduced to a recovery program that stuck in my head, and it was like, if you want to, you know, change, these people are changing, why don't you try that out or whatever. So that's what I did at 18, you know. That's literally the only reason I didn't do a bunch of prison time or get killed or do something, you know what I mean, was I got sober young, man.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I've been able to, any album you've ever heard me do, I was clean and sober for, you know what I'm saying? Literally any of them, you know what I mean? I was in the booth, because when I get loaded, just like, I don't know if you've ever dealt with this, but I've seen videotapes of myself back in the lab where I'm drunk and high on weed and I'm rapping to everybody and shit, you know, and I think I'm killing it, you know what I'm saying? But I look back like at a sober mind and look at me rapping and I'm just spitting gibberish, you know what I mean? And everybody else is bombed out too, so they're just like, oh, it's sick, but I'm just like, you know what I mean?
So were you progressing from the weed and all that to harder drugs, or?
I did. I dabbled with it, you know what I mean?
Okay.
I dabbled with it, like when I would go to, you know, over at my dad's house when I was a kid and shit, and like I said, he didn't ever give it to me or nothing like
But
that.
you,
But I
as
would
being
find it through
curious,
other people
yeah.
around there, you know. And as I looked at it as an adult man and talked to other people about it, they're like, yeah, you were just around a lot of sick people, man. You just were around sick people at the time. They tried to look out for you the only way they could, but they didn't fucking know what the fuck they were doing, you know? Not to like let them off the hook, but I know how it is.
Right.
You know
Oh,
what
yeah.
I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, women and shit, when I was, you know what I mean? Just all sorts of shit that I don't know, probably added to who I am today, but also why I'm so motherfucking jaded. You know what I'm saying, dog? Really, though, you know?
Well, you know, like even, I mean, as a kid, like I said, back in the 90s, you know, there's that hard, you know, lemonade or something in the fridge, you know, and you're like, ooh, bubbly Kool-Aid, you know what I'm saying?
Nah.
And you know damn well it ain't no bubbly Kool-Aid, but you're like, you know, parents ain't around, you're like, oh, this kind of good, you know what's wrong from right, you know, but you choose to, you know, do it anyway, you know, you're like, hopefully they don't realize half this damn bottle's gone, but you know what I'm saying? We trying to get our drink on a little bit, you know?
Pour the water or the Pepsi in there, you know what I'm saying? To make it look normal again.
Well, you go from, you know, learning to rap in the lab and all that type of stuff to, I mean, being a hell of a freestyler. Where did that come from?
So my boy Jerome Dennis, man, he played, he was dating a girl from a neighborhood next door to ours. And my friend Jason Palms had a girlfriend over there. So their girl group and our guy group, and then my homegirl Jessica had a boyfriend named Jerome. He was rapping. He was the first dude that ever blew me away. You know what I'm saying? Like when I was just playing with it. I remember this because she was in a fucking blue Volkswagen Beetle. Remember when them shits were coming out, like at that time or whatever,
them ugly Beetles, yeah.
And we were all packed in this little car, you know what I mean? Jerome, you know what I'm saying? It's like this buff black dude with a hat and shit, leather
Jerome,
jacket, you know what I'm saying? And he was sitting in the front, and he's like, "What you want me to rap about, man?" And I was like, "Shooting somebody in the face." I remember this shit. And he was like, "Shooting somebody in the face? All right." And he turned the beat up and shit, right? I don't even remember what the beat was, but he just started going. So, like, the hardest I had ever heard by this point, you know what I mean? Like, where I was just like, God damn, you know what I mean? That's real. Oh, that's what it is, you know? Like, the energy he had and everything about it. And he started just schooling me. Like, we just became friends, and he started schooling me. I was rapping and doing my thing, but it was a lot of fun when he was around because he'd throw words. All right, I'm going to throw words at you. You know, lemonade, you know what I'm saying? Minute Maid, lemonade, you know what I mean? Venom Cage, Day, whatever, you know? And he'd just be throwing shit at, like, words at me, just schooling me and making me sharper. Yeah. And I literally took that, and I did that at the show 2 weeks ago where we, you know, I like to put words in I'll have people at the merch booth write words on note cards, and we put it in the picture, and I pull them out. and I just rap whatever. And I feel like that's a lot of fun for the crowd because they see it's just happening in the moment. It's not a song I rehearsed or something. It's like improv, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's where that came from. Jerome schooled me on that. I always give him props for that. You know what I mean?
And that goes back to, I seen you at a house party. You busted a flow at. You busted a freestyle at.
Which one? Where? Which one?
Yeah, we gonna talk about this model chick.
Which one?
This model chick that you know.
Why's he at?
You know, I'm saying, you know, we ain't heard no names, but you know, we need some hints or something.
Oh, you talk. Okay, I got you.
You know, definitely heard this story a couple times.
No, I'm just kidding. You talking about the high school party?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, I can't say no names because I don't want no shit. You know what I mean?
Well, okay, let me ask you. Is she from where you from? Okay.
I just don't want, you know what I mean?
She's still doing it. She's still doing it to this day.
As far as I know,
okay.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
But yeah, that was the first. And you know, I said that in an interview before, but I did rock house parties before, like around when I was 16, 17 and shit like that, where you just get blown on weed and somebody have an open mic or whatever, you know? But the first like conscious, like, this is like you're gonna rap tonight in front of like a huge crowd was that night.
Dope.
You know what I'm saying? So, and that was one where we just went off and like closed my eyes and I was nervous and then I opened them and I was rapping and everybody was like, the whole crowd was there. You know what I mean? That was huge for me, you know, because I was nervous. I mean, how many times where you get nervous, like, nah, I don't want to do that, man.
Were you drinking or anything at the time?
Yeah, I was drinking.
That always helps.
Drunk though.
Okay.
I remember that. I was still conscious enough to be like, fuck, man.
Did I hit some gibberish?
You know what I mean? But nah, I was getting it though, and then and I just remembered the crowd going crazy, you know. And that was my first real, like, I mean, the homies are ciphering with other rappers and be like, damn, you're dope, dog, you know, keep it up or whatever. But that was the first time it was like, the whole party was just like with me. You know what I'm saying? You know that feeling. You know what I mean? Where they're just with you, like hanging on your words and shit.
Yeah, I never had like a super house party, but I definitely had a handful of people that was around.
Yeah.
When everybody's like, ooh, you know, like, yeah, I did that shit. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
Going back, you said that the 2000s was kind of like a nice moment for you.
Yeah.
But in 2004, you ended up kind of, was it you and your stepfather just wasn't hitting it off?
No, this was in like 2001. I got into it with him, you know what I'm saying? And then it was always something with us though, man. It was just like a pressure cooker situation in the house. Every once a month, there'd be like a big old explosion or whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I remember I went to like a little juvenile psych unit when I was like 16. I had a therapist at the time, and they were like, "Yeah, nah, you need to go in here because you." What do
you think it stems from? Like, was it being the only child? Was it this is my really, stepfather? Man. Like,
yeah, I didn't like the way he treated my mom or me, man. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it was, you know. And also, I had so much anger though. For, you know, my dad being on dope, you know what I mean? My stepdad not, like, I didn't have a real male figure except for my grandfather, who's the one who taught me how to creatively write, which literally no song ever would have been written if it wasn't for my grandpa, Paps, rest in peace. He's the one who sat me down and was like, you know, okay, Joe went to the store and then he handed me the pen. Almost like Jerome, where he'd be like, now what do you do? He grabbed milk, you know what I mean? And then boom, and we write stories together. Literally, I don't think I'd ever, you know, the era I'm from with the music and then creatively writing and then the punchlines and all that shit that I grew up, like, just kind of sculpted me, you know what I'm saying? What was the question?
No, I was just saying because you know, well, first of all, was your grandfather a musician?
No, he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? World War II vet, strong, you know, military man, but
if anyone sees some Dr. Seuss books, it's pretty simple, right?
Yeah, I mean, but he was like he was on me on some like stay creative, you know, don't be a loser, like get your grades up, like do your thing, you know what I mean? And I did that for a long time until I just started falling off, you know what I mean? And he was like he was like the guy who raised me, basically. The man in my life, you know.
But
My dad was struggling a lot and shit, you know.
I guess the whole point is you end up getting into it as a late teen with your stepfather, and eventually you ended up moving to Spokane, Washington.
So I moved from my mom and stepdad's house to my grandpa's house, and it's still in LA County first, right? Then I'm with my grandpa for a few years. My dad's kind of in and out of the house too, but that's like his main address. So it's us three, the three generations of us are there. That's the same place where the lab's in the back.
Okay.
If you watch the Storyteller music video, when I shot down in California, I show the front of my grandpa's house.
Oh, dope.
It's
I've definitely seen it.
Yeah, and it's going up. You know what I mean? And
so that was about 2001. You get into it with stepfather,
and then I just
move
over
out.
to
A few years with grandpa.
Yeah, I'm with grandpa, and then grandpa decides to move to Spokane.
Yeah,
that's how that whole thing happened. He just
what why Spokane?
Just you know, to be honest, it was either Spokane or I think Arizona. He just wanted to retire. He just wanted to, you know what I mean, get out of LA and all that shit. And we were wilding out at the time, me and my dad, and he was like, "I'm leaving. You could come with me, or you don't have to, but that's it. Like, I'm out of here, you know."
Yeah.
And then we came with him, you know what I mean, and that's how that started. That's how the whole Spokane, Washington thing started. Never been to Washington State in my life until then.
What'd you think?
Know what I mean?
What'd you think when you first came up here?
Nah, it was dope, but I didn't grow up with snow. There's no snow in LA County, dog. There's no ice or none of that.
So there's no warning, nothing.
No,
just...
I mean, you know, but like you could go up to like Arrowhead or Big Bear. There's like the mountainy areas, and you see snow and shit, but it ain't like dumping on your motherfucking. You know what I mean? Like, so that was, you know, but it was cool because I hadn't, you know, like whatever. I just, you know, I didn't know what to do. I was still attached to LA County, like I always have been, because that's where I grew up. You know what I mean? And so I would try to go back and I just keep getting in trouble, and you know what I mean? And eventually I sobered up here, you know?
Do you like the snow now, or do you dislike it?
I don't think I hate anything more than the ice on the road when it's snowy, because I got into a car wreck 2 years ago and the shit flipped over. The car flipped over. So now I'm just traumatized. When I see the shit, I forget how to drive.
You spend any hospital time?
So if you see me out there driving 25 miles per hour in the fucking right lane with the hazards on, me, dog. And please don't yell anything about California or nothing. It was an accident. That's what happened, you know? That's a true story, too. I'll be out there.
Well, I'm glad you okay, man. Did you go to the hospital or anything?
Yeah, well, I wasn't even driving. We were working on a movie, and we were up above the valley, and yeah, it was a pure ice hill. Dude lost control, tried to swerve, crash into a wall. Tire caught the wall. We flipped over, and I didn't have my belt on. Wear your belts, kids. You know, fell on the dude, and I thought it was over. All the shit I've been through, you know what I mean? I thought I was going to die on an icy hill.
You know what sticks in my head about the seatbelt is the Kanye West Through the Wire song.
Oh, man.
Where he's like, thank God I ain't too cool for the safe belt.
Oh,
and that shit stuck with me. I'm like, damn, like anyone could have been Kanye, you know, your grill all fucked up.
You're right, man. It could have been over for me, man. You know?
But anyway, you get up here to Spokane. I mean, how long did it take for you to meet Dead Poet?
So, like, shit, I want to say like 6 months right away, you know what I mean? And I met a girl, and she was like, my dude wants to battle you, you know what I mean? My dude wants to battle you and all that shit. I'm like, man, ain't nobody trying to see me, you know what I mean? And I saw him and shit. I remember he had just got out the joint, and he had a motherfucking wave cap on. Tall white boy, you know what I mean?
What a wave cap
on. Came out like, let me hear you rap, man. Let me hear you rap, you know what I mean? I'm like, hey, come over to the truck. I played him Liquid Red, you know, the song, the little single I had. And then we put on, I remember the beat too, it's Typical Cats, Justice is Coming is the name of the beat, and we just rapped over that all night, and we both, you know, I mean, we're spitting like writtens, and there was never really a battle, but just writtens and fucking freeze and all sorts of shit all night, you know. And then kind of linked from there.
And that's when the QM and all that came into play.
Yeah. I mean, that's the days of the Boulevard, rapping at the Boulevard.
Yeah.
Genesis in the mall with the Insider's booth, you know what I'm saying? Like, all that shit. I mean, that's all I knew right then at that
See,
time.
back then,
know?
I felt like we had more venues. I feel like we were bouncing venue to venue, and then now it's just like I know COVID slightly played a part, but like I said, even the Lucky You just went down.
Yeah,
so
man. I don't know what it is. I just went on my first tour in like the last 8 years. You know what I'm saying? Like in May. So I can notice. I don't know if it's that COVID scared people, or if it's just that I haven't been on the road in so long. But there were still people there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I mean, at the peak of my when I was really doing it, that was pre-COVID and all that other shit.
Yeah, I mean, there's people show up and show out when they can, but I feel like venues. I mean, the A Club.
A Club was
everybody.
The Hop.
You know
what I'm
the
saying?
Hop.
Yeah, the Hop.
It just
Shout
all
out
the
to TC
venues
for putting me on so many fucking shows too. And all that. And shout out to you. Remember, we did something one time for.
I meant to bring that up when we was talking about the freestyle thing because cool ass story is I booked Cut Calhoun. It was on a Sunday night.
You were there for that too.
Yeah, I booked that show on a Sunday night, and I was like, man, it was cheap, so I was like, cool, we just throw the show and shit. Didn't expect Wildcard to be in the motherfucking building, but Wildcard was there, and I think we was having some technical issues probably halfway through set or something like that. And Cut Calhoun was like, well, while we having these technical issues, well, fuck it, who wants to bust some raps? And sure enough, I think we had the other young homie over there. And then you came in, and I don't know, was he beatboxing or was you just doing it solo?
That was at Swax too, right?
Yeah.
The power or something went out on the fucking boards or some shit, and we were in the crowd. Cut was in the crowd with us, passing the mic around or something. happened.
Yeah, he was passing the mic. It's like, who wants to bust?
Yeah.
And I think only like maybe two. I think you and maybe another artist or two.
I don't remember, but I remember I got it in though.
You did. You did. And I was like,
time.
oh fuck, Wildcard busting right now. Like,
yeah, that was cool, man.
So that's a moment I'll definitely remember is you came in and you rocked the mic, man. And no later, as soon as he was done, voila, the motherfucking electricity's back to working. You know what I'm saying? So, it was not planned. I just want to let y'all know that. It was not planned. But you came in there and did your fucking thing, man.
Thanks,
that's
bro.
The freestyle. And I think Cut was definitely impressed, So
that was the Black Gold album because I remember I bought that night and was listening to it when Cut put the Black Gold, right? Black Gold.
So somewhere around there, or it could have been because he was still with Strange Music at that time. So maybe it wasn't the Black Gold. I think it was
maybe I got Black Gold after
something like that. Yeah, he was. I mean, my favorite Cut was Colors. That song with Cut Calhoun, Colors. But.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely fucking shout out to Cut Calhoun,
Shout out
man.
to Cut, man.
Such a humble dude, man. I had a little fucking Subaru bucket, and he did not give two fucks. We was whipping around town in a Subaru. I'm like,
that's dope,
most
man.
people like, where the SUV at? Where's the Suburban? I'm like, Cut's like, where the shorties at? That's all he gave a fuck about. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't give a fuck when we whipping in, Holler at homegirl, you cool, homie? Yeah, okay, connect me with her, shout out to Cut, man. Shout out to you for rocking it that night, too. Like I said, it was a Sunday night, so I didn't even expect you to be in the crowd, but, so you definitely, turn that out. But, just like back to the wild card, I mean, you two, MySpace, man, that's really like when I kind of got a gist of who you guys were, because everybody, the competition back in those days with the MySpace, it was like who's popping on MySpace, the music generator, and you had I kept seeing your name. I don't know if we were really crossing paths at that time.
I don't, man. It's a kind of a lot of blur back in the day, but I remember the show you put me on. You were doing a show. Though,
the Dizzy Wright
Club.
The Dizzy Wright. Yeah. And I was actually surprised you agreed to that because you was popping, man.
No, but I mean, I wanted to see, because you were making your moves, though. You know what I mean? And I was like, for sure, let's do it. I remember a fight broke out. It was one of my favorite shows, actually. Yeah,
the Dizzy Wright, man. That was the first time Dizzy Wright. And I told Dizzy, what I'm saying? I was like, man, when I had booked Dizzy, we all knew who Hobson was, but I just remember Dizzy joining the Funk Volume, and I'm like, man, this is new dude. He's a different flavor than Hobson. He's coming with some reality shit, And I remember seeing one of my cousins, she posted about it, and I was like, damn, like, okay, may not have heard 50 million people, but at least I seen somebody else post about him. I was like, I've been bumping this dude. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna book him.
Yeah.
So I booked him, but I made sure it was an album release party. I wasn't confident with my music, you know, so I was like, well, fuck it. If they ain't gonna come out and see me, at least they gonna see him, and then I'm gonna call it album release party. He gonna be there and shit. So I hollered at you, like I said, because you was doing it. And I was like, man, I wonder Wildcard. And yeah, you agreed to it, man. So thank you for coming through. We had some hitters on that motherfucker.
No,
man.
that was dope, man.
The only thing is they ended up cutting my fucking set.
Is
like,
that what happened? That's what you remember the most.
The fucking tour manager, you know, remember him and shit. And he knew it was my album release party. And I'm like, damn, they're done with the song. And then, boof, they pulled the plug. Didn't even give me no fucking warning, no none of that.
Oh, damn, all right.
And I kept it professional. I played it off like a motherfucker. Like, all right, you know, that's my time, y'all, you know. But in the back of my mind, I was like, I'm going to kill this motherfucker, you know what I'm saying? This is my goddamn album release party, you know. So, yeah, you know, you came through and fuck, man.
I remember the A Club was like, remember the little side room to the left, the little green room or whatever? I was nervous because I had Pops there too. He was playing the guitar and shit. Speaking of which, Pops is in the band now. Like my dad he plays the guitar, but I was nervous and shit. And then I heard something crazy going outside because and I opened the door and there was a fight breaking out with one of my little young homies. I had to get involved and shit, and like the adrenaline spiking up, you know. And then there's like, all right, Wildcard, you're up, man. I had to fucking run back through. And we just had the set of our life because all the fear of like
Tyler Denby.
Shit.
I remember his
Tyler
name
Denby,
there.
you know what I mean? Shout out to Tyler Denby.
I remember it hit me now. Shout out to Tyler,
yeah,
man.
shout out to Tyler, you know. But I ran in there and I didn't have any nervousness because I wasn't thinking about like, oh man, I hope I really put it, you know, in the green room, you know, which could be like bad or good when you got all that time to think, you know. But a little fight broke out. I ran and tried to, you know, get into the, you know, break it up type shit, and then it was my time to go, and I just had a great old time up there. I just had a bunch of fun. You know what I'm saying?
Man, thank you once again. Sure. Fuck yeah, shit, we did. See, that was the time we started crossing paths.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I have fond memories of like 2012, 2013. Yeah. Like, that was like a great time for me.
That was about it.
Because I was coming into my voice.
And we're going to get into that too.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Because I see that as a definitely a highlight moment, you know, for you. I don't know if you see it like that. But,
yeah, for sure, bro.
But, you know, going back, like you said, you and Dead Poet had your thing going down. And then the big story for him is he ended up, you know, obviously going to prison.
Yeah.
But, you know, so did you guys have, let me ask you this before I get into the next question. Did you guys have anything going on together project-wise before that? You guys dropped anything? Not
an album or nothing, but Setting the Bar was being recorded at that time, you know?
Okay.
And I remember he was like, I don't know, man, it feels like these... like the heat is on, like the feds are all like they got, you know, who knows what's about to happen. We got to keep, like, I got to keep recording as much as possible. And that's what happened, you know what I mean? And then boom, like one day he was at the mall. He called me. I was driving over to pick him up from the house. His girl Tanya was at the house and the feds had got him and they said they had built enough, you know what I mean? Built enough evidence case-wise to arrest him now, rather than the dude who was already...
Was that at the mall when they scooped him up?
No, they got him from the house. You know? But I remember he called me at the mall, like, hey, meet me at the house or whatever. I'm like smashing over to get him, you know what I mean? And that was like 2007? Yeah, it was 2007.
Okay.
And we were almost done with the album at that point. So there's a couple things where if you listen to Soul Disposal, he only did his primaries, and then we ran out of studio time. So he told me to do the doubles, you know what I mean? There's a couple things where he was supposed to be on the hook for Puppets on a String, and he got locked up. So I did the hook for Puppets on a String. You know what I'm saying? Like little things, you know what I mean, that we had to, you know, fill the void with or whatever.
Did you guys try the idea of recording from prison or anything?
So that came into the Odyssey era. Like years later when he's already in there for 5 years, I'm like, I'm about to do another album. I have a lot of good feelings about this. I'm going to straight up get you over the phone, because he would call, we would talk over the years, and he just spit a crazy verse. Like I'm in here fucking just writing, and I'd just be like, oh my God, that's got to go on something, you know. And if you listen to the Odyssey album, which was my most special time of a project, it came out in 2012. I got him on 2 acapellas through the phone, and then a song called One More Game where he talks about the robbery. He admits to it for the first time ever, you know what I'm saying, is on a song that he was there and this and that and all this shit. And that's probably my favorite song of the whole fucking that album. You know?
What number project was this for you?
This was 3.
3.
So the first one was Dark Night of the Soul in 07, and then Setting the Bar was 07, right when he got cracked.
Okay.
You know, and I was recording both at the same time.
As a duo album, right?
Yeah.
It's a collabo album.
And then I took 5 years off, you know, and then dropped the Odyssey in 2012.
Damn, so that was 5 years.
Yeah.
Wow. It didn't even seem that long after that.
I mean, I got involved in the film industry, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I was.
How did that happen, man?
So I just had a friend who had a friend, you know what I mean? And they were like, we're shooting this John Carpenter movie over here in Medical Lake, Washington. It was the summer of 09. And they said, we need like an intern, somebody to just clean up, do whatever, you know? And I just went in there like, I've always wanted to be involved in film, you know? And that's how it happened. And I just showed I could work hard. And then, you know, they started hiring me for other movies and shit. And then I got into the union for IATSE 488, all right? And then, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it went. So, and then I would travel back and forth from Spokane to Seattle, you know, and do work and shit. Networking with people. Hey, we got this indie movie over here. And then Z Nation happened. And
right, I remember that.
Yeah.
I remember
so I was involved
that,
in that for the first 2
That's
seasons,
dope.
you know? Yeah.
Because we talk about, you know, your film, the Odyssey, you know, your videos are very cinematic.
Yeah.
That's
why. 'Cause
Did
all
that
them are
help
from-
out with
Oh,
the...
man. I didn't even know who knew how to shoot videos, you know what I mean? Like, till I started meeting people in the film industry, and then they become my friends, and then we see, like, we're working 60-hour work weeks, and we're just, like, covered in mud, like, and on some war zone shit, like, helping each other out. Then I'm like, yo, my manager, Mary, at the time, I met her through film. She came to a show, Free Time Synthetic, shout out to him, you know what I mean? Put me on a show in 2010, and he got me a interview in the Inlander, and it all just happened. You know how things happen. My manager wasn't my manager yet. Mary was just another coworker in the film industry. Saw this article and all this stuff. We were shooting, I remember Camilla Dickinson was the movie name, and they were shooting it here in the winter. Carrie Elways from The Princess Bride. I remember and things were happening for me where my movie people were finding out that I had this like other career as a rapper or whatever. And I remember the dude was like, I hear you're a rapper. This dude from
Of course.
The Princess Bride.
Of
you know
course,
what I mean?
right?
And I did the show, and my own crowd really wasn't like fans from the street or people it was my movie crew people. Some other people, you know, but mostly right in the front row.
Wow.
Because they had never seen me. They see me as Phil, the locations guy, you know what I'm saying? Like, and now I'm up here just, you know, I did the freestyle that night too with the, you know, and Mary was like, yo, you're very talented. Let me see what I can do for you, you know? That's opened the door for the whole Odyssey era.
So was that your first, when was your first video?
So that was the first music video
Wow.
ever was the Odyssey, and that was with my movie people helped me put that
Did you
together.
realize how advanced... Some people don't get those opportunities to have that type of cinematic video.
So advanced, bro.
You
Because
know?
I have all these ideas, and now I have people that can actually do it. You know what I'm saying? That's like huge. I think that's what like a lot of people are missing. Can be like but if you don't have like the mechanics to get it actually produced and put out there, you know what I'm saying? Because I'll write a story like I'll have the whole ass theme, and then I'll hit Goose, my dude who shot all my videos except for a couple in Cali that I did. And then we'll schedule it, you know what I mean? And so, but I'm coming at it like, fuck, well, we can.
Did you
only
meet
have-
him in the
Yeah,
film?
exactly.
Okay.
He was a grip. Like all these people were in different positions.
Damn.
You know what I mean? And then Mary's the one who got us all together. You know what I mean? Because she was in like a higher position too. So she was like, I need your help. I need your help. I need your. And she's the one who vouched for me and said, we're gonna do a video for this dude. You know what I mean? And that's how that first one happened, you know? And the Ruby, shout out to the Ruby Hotel that led us over there. And then the first time we ever had so when
was that where that was at? Was it?
Yeah,
the
I was
Ruby?
at the Ruby.
Oh
right
wow,
there.
okay.
Yeah, a lot of people think it's the Downtowner. Still to this day, 10 years later, they're like, that shit at the Downtowner though. And I'm like, no, but it was the Ruby though, right there. You know, they were cool as shit. Like my manager just went in there and said this and that, and I would like this and that, and they were like, yeah, for sure, fucking A. Like there's like 50 people on the thing. There's people like in the fucking hotel, you know what I mean? We didn't rent the whole thing out or nothing, you know? We just like guerrilla filmmaking through the whole thing, you know?
That's dope.
But yeah, shout out to my film industry connections, man.
Because I remember.
I never would have had none of these visuals, like, you know.
That's really where I was like, okay, this is something serious.
Yeah,
when I seen you with that video right there, I was like, yeah, I could see why. Because I knew at that time I could see your fan base.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and I was like, I could see why. You know, definitely. I mean, hell, I was even reaching out to Seattle guys to get a cinematic video.
Yeah.
You know, and they were like, at the time, I don't know, probably 2 G's or something like that. And I'm like, damn, my pockets is kind of low for that. I have to save up a little bit, you know? And so, but I realized, especially at that time, the cinematic videos was where it was at. You know, you needed one, especially if you was trying to be like on a lyrical tip.
Yeah, yeah.
You needed something like that to go along with it,
for sure.
you know, to really show like the story of it, if you wanted to be kind of taken serious.
Nah, definitely. Yeah, that video did a lot for me, man. That whole album and that whole team and everybody, that was like a whole, I thought that was, you know, this is where we're going. Like, we're going high now, you know what I'm saying? So.
And I seen you said that, because you had a female on the cover, right?
Yeah, so Rogue LaRock, rest in peace, she passed away. She's the one who drew, like I said, I wanted Medusa with a gun, you know what I mean? And she kind of gave her a couple ideas, and she freehanded that shit. And she passed away years later, but yeah, so it's Medusa on the cover with a gun, you know what I mean?
Because like I said, during this time, I mean, you fucking doing it, you know?
Yeah.
So kind of tell me about, because you had some tours. You had you was with Thug Line.
Yeah.
Krayzie Bone and Bone Thugs and Harmony, Thug Line.
The Life.
How the hell did that even come about?
The Krayzie Bone thing was in the Burbank airport, bro. So in LA, the big airport is LAX. Then the other one that a lot of people don't know about that a lot of celebrities move through is Burbank. You know what I'm saying? I was at the Burbank airport. I had a demo on me. I saw Krayzie Bone. Didn't know him from Adam. I just knew it was Krayzie Bone. Walked up on him and said, yo, I don't mean to bother you. This is a demo, some music, you know what I mean? And he was like, oh, yeah, sure, for sure. You know, I never thought. And then he called me and shit. So at that point, I was like, oh, my God, if I'm famous, man. You know what I mean? Fuck y'all. Fuck all y'all. I'm out of here. No, I didn't do that. But I was just like, you know, and that's how that came about. He brought me down. This was like 06. This was before any albums happened, you know. He brought me down and we did some songs and shit. And that was really it. And nothing really kind of materialized from that other than he took a chance and he put me on a song that ended up on a tour mixtape that a lot of people heard, and then a lot of Bone fans were rocking with me around then.
And when did that tour mixtape come out? Was that like 2012-ish? Or?
So the mixtape was that was like 06. The
mixtape
came out by itself, but the Bone tour where they brought me on tour was 2014.
So you had still talked to him?
Yeah, just off and on throughout 08 again, and then, you know, and then I'm doing my own thing with Mary and the team, and I got a verse from Slain. I got on a tour with Madchild and Slain. Brothers Grimm and Adlib in Canada. That was my first ever huge over 30 date tour on a tour bus. Like I was like, oh my God, this is finally it, you know? And that was that. Bone 2014.
Way of West, right? Yeah, the Way.
No, that was the Texas Takeover was the Bone tour. The Way of the West was with Apathy and Self.
Right, but you had all these damn tours going for you.
So I just kept going. Now I realized you needed to take the show on the road. You know what I mean? That's what I was learned at that time.
And speaking of, y'all threw me on one. I think you had overtime on it, and y'all threw me on one of those shows too.
So A Club. That was like in 2012. Yeah. That was before I did any real big like moving on. You know.
Yeah.
Like
shout out to y'all, man.
Yeah, for
on
sure.
That one.
And Knothead too brought me out to
Knothead,
swim
that's
out
the
there.
homie.
Yeah. So that was it, man. Taking the show on the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like important. Because then you run into people you don't know, never would have seen you unless they saw you on stage, you know what I mean, in Wyoming.
Were
or
you eating off
Montana.
music during this time?
Not really. I didn't even know you could get paid for shows until fucking 2012. You know what I'm saying? I was just like, shit, I just want to rap. Yeah, give me the opportunity. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And that's what it was. And then I did some shows in Montana and saw a couple people, they got paid for the show. And I'm really just want to, hey, let's swap shows, let's whatever, you know? Sorry, I talk hella long. Do we got mad questions left?
Oh, no, you're good.
But
you're
yeah,
good.
so then I realized, so if I'm bringing fans to the show, people want to pay to see me, then I need to be able to capitalize off this shit. You know how that is, you know what I mean? Throw my own show, have people open, you know what I mean, and rock with me and sell tickets and bring their people and, you know.
So were you trying to figure out a price range of what, what you think people could pay you for and live off the shit?
What can we sell tickets for, the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
It turns into more of like the business side of it or
The
whatever.
merchandise, I would imagine.
That came, like we didn't know what we were doing with that either, really, you know what I'm saying? And but yeah, for sure, they want to buy shirts and
I still feel like you had a brand though, and do you feel like you still had a brand at that time?
Oh yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
We were. I mean, me and Mary would meet at like 7 a.m. at like a coffee shop with notebooks and go over everything. Shout out to her for real, cause she like
Whatever
taught me
happened
how
to Mary?
fly, man. She was in the film industry and then she moved out to like another part of the country and is doing film work there. That's how that went down. You know. So yeah. But she's the first one who ever took a chance and didn't want a bunch of money or nothing. She just took a chance on me because she saw me and what I could do, you know?
We got to talk about the song Gag Order.
Okay.
You had that place in a film. Was it Abduction of Eden?
Yeah.
How did that come about?
So that's another one, just all network. I worked on that movie as a PA, as just a production assistant, And my friend Gretchen that helped me out, Megan Griffiths that directed the movie. It was just a lot of buzz going on, and Mary got that situated at the time. She was like, "Can we get one of these Wildcard songs in here?" And then boom, they put it in.
Damn. So she was just out there.
She was getting it. You know what I mean? And I was like feeling like cool. Now this is serious. I really got to rise to every occasion.
Yeah.
But it also felt like good. I've been waiting for this shit. Like I'm waiting for somebody to see me, man. You know what I mean? Like. Like I've been making moves, but I wanted to wait for somebody,
feel it. I wasn't doing nothing like that, but shout out to my boy Scotty, man. He was out there running. I mean, he was doing it for me as well.
That was like your...
Yeah. So you needed that. I feel like nowadays I don't even know if people got teams like that. I don't know. Maybe some do. And if you do, you're probably being successful right now.
Yeah.
Real quick, during that time, we're seeing like the likes of Macklemore blow up, right? Yeah. And I'm not going to compare you to Macklemore by far, but I do know he has some dark songs and stuff, and that was he's very vibrant now. But he had some dark songs, and when he did come out with them, kind of remind me of what you was putting out because a lot of people gravitated towards that. You hip hop. I mean, what do you think about Macklemore?
Yeah, I love him, man.
Yeah.
Even when I know people that know him, I don't know him, you know what I'm saying? I met him and shit, but that was it. But I liked his the recovery based stuff. I liked all that, and I could relate with it. And when the heist came out, it's just like, remember that shit? You know what I mean? That was just like dropped on everybody. Like, damn, that's just crazy. The beats and everything that he was talking about was like what I've been, like interested in trying to convey,
Because like nowadays, I don't know if you agree, but I feel like with the music that's out nowadays, it's easier for the lyrical artist to be seen as lyrical because now it's a bunch of just gumbo, mumbo, jumbo shit. That's just going on right now.
Yeah.
And I try not to hate on the new generation, but I feel like, okay, if you wanted to be lyrical back then, I mean, shit, you had to mail in your fucking songs and then, am I lyrical enough? Are they going to like me? You know what I'm saying? Am I bringing the bars? And now it's like everyone's just kind of putting themselves in this bracket, but you still in the lyrical bracket, So it's almost like, hey, fucking lights on me right now,
Yeah. I don't know, man. For me, like, I think the kiss of death would be to think the newer generation, not saying that you said that, but that they don't know like lyrics or whatever, because there's still some youngsters that do, you know what I mean? And I don't know. I just, hope if they get successful, put me on a motherfucking song. Big dog. You know what I mean? But I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
But that's how it was in the bling bling era back in the day, and all
That's
you know,
true.
the radio,
That's true.
you know, and I've always pulled more to the grittier like underground shit, you know. But I also want to reach more people. So the Glass Moon video with Krayzie Bone, did you see that one?
Yeah.
Brand new. So
yeah.
But that's dark too. The content's dark, but the hook I thought was like something that was
Well, you know,
cool. You know,
I'm gonna jump up a little bit right here with this because we came across each other downtown, and he was like, you know, you gave me the, I think it was the change in cabin pressure.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And you was telling me, he was like, man, I'm just focusing on bars right now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and so, which I think we kind of already knew. You didn't, you know, but you were like really saying like, this is gonna be the exclamation mark right here. We just gonna focus on bars and shit like that. So I thought that was dope because sometimes as artists we get to that point like, fuck it, like. We about to go all out. We about to murder some shit around here.
Yeah,
you know?
Nah, man. And then Western Promises that just came out. That is another one that's bars, but like the Johnny Slash beats on there and all the shit. Oh my God, I recorded the whole thing, almost the whole thing in Southern California, except for my dude Wade, who was up in Elk, Washington. We recorded some things too, but a lot of that was at parks, at the beach, you know what I mean? And it just opened my like whole mind to the shit. You know, in January the sun was out down there. I was like, fuck, man, I forgot. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know how much you want to speak on this, but if we go back to the change in cabin pressure, you got Kim on the cover. You know, can you tell us the significance of that?
So yeah, I mean, it's my homegirl. She passed away, you know. I got her name on me right here. Her name's Kim Vesna, but we called her Kim Vezina. That's how her name's spelled. Rest in peace to Kim.
Rest in peace.
And I put her on the cover of the Shadow Work album right before, a song called Upside Down Rose about her. Then I put her on the Cabin Pressure album, like as far as sending bangers up to the sky for Kim type shit. You know, like you know what I mean? And then Death Card, which is probably one of my most important songs ever, is the very last song of Western Promises. So listen to that if you don't mind. If you haven't yet, it's called Death Card.
I've got about halfway through.
Yeah, but the song Death Card
on
Western Promises, the third verse I talk about her too. So, but yeah, man. But yeah, she's just with me, man. I feel like I don't want her name to fade. I don't want, you know, if I have a platform, I'm going to talk about her. And that's just what it is. And I want to give her the shine in death that I couldn't give her in life, you know?
Yeah. And because, you know, fuck. Like I said, you gave me the CD. I had that shit bumping in the car. He's like, I don't know if you listen to CDs or not, you know, but I was like, shit, I'm in an 03 right now. You know what I'm saying? Fuck. You know? So, you know, the change, I mean, what do you think about the change in the streaming and the digital songs? You know, us being old school with it, you know?
So the song The Chaser, I talk all about that shit, how I used to sell CDs, but now it's streaming and all that, you know, but you got to adjust with the times and you just got to adjust with the times, man, right? Because like the old shit my grandpa used to listen to phased its way out and the new thing came, and then the music that my dad listened to, you know what I mean, became like classic rock and shit and faded, you know what I mean? Yeah. So I'm just trying to adjust with the times in my old age, but still keep the authenticity of the shit I grew up with, you know, and try to get that out there and also convey the pain and make motherfuckers laugh with like the dark, you know, dirty sense of humor that I got too.
Right. Because
which is probably why I'm not millionaire, is because I like to drop punchlines about this and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But fuck the world, dog. You know what I'm saying?
You said dirty ass comedian with twisted humor.
Yeah.
You know, I would definitely say that kind of defies. Is that the recipe right there?
I mean, it's not the only one, though, because I want to talk about things that touched my heart or things that I have been able to navigate through and not blow my motherfucking brains out. You know what I'm saying? Because I've worked on certain shit, not to get dark, but shit gets dark sometimes. You know what I mean? And I've been able to, like with therapy, I mean, I got to do step work. I got to do a lot of things to work on some of the demons that I have in my life, you know? But music has always been one of those things that I can write a song, you know, that, damn, I'm getting vulnerable, but fuck it, I don't give a fuck, and just write it and then put it out there. And then mad people hit me up like, thank God you said that. Thank you for saying that, you know? That's more important. That's really more important. Really is like the shit that's going to touch your heart rather than just the kind of funny shit. But I grew up in that funny, you know, you don't want to be dark all the time. You know what I'm saying, dog? Or always be. Yeah. But I think that's what Macklemore did. He was really introspective the whole time, and they loved it, you know? So, I mean, he wasn't talking about, like, some of the dirty shit, the Ice-T shit that you know, and the Eminem and the, you know. But that's just me, man. I mean,
Notorious B.I.G., it's like he's talking about death a lot, but then he can give you a little bit of, you know, some, you know, give me one more chance. He can go on some player shit. But then, like you said, the other half is like, damn, he's talking about death quite a bit.
Yeah,
you know, he's in some dark shit.
Yeah. You know what I always thought? DJ Quick, when he's like, when you rap about death, you talking to spirits. Yeah. That shit creeps me out because I just did a song called Death Card, you know? So I hope it's all good. But yeah, that always stuck with me. I think about that with Nipsey Hussle and all that other shit. Yeah. Tupac. I was like, I ain't talking about this damn death shit. Yeah. But I mean, I think for me, bipolar gets thrown around a lot and all that shit, and that's a whole other fucking episode conversation. But that's just something that comes up, man. I worry about that. I've been close to it, you know, on the street or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Not that I'm like some big tough guy, but I lived a drug addict lifestyle where we ran amok in the streets and a lot of shit could have happened and it came close and it didn't. And for some reason, I'm still here, so I got to be careful what I say too, you know? But, well, like I said, you survived the car flip and all that shit. I went through some shit myself, so I know. Yeah, wrote some fucking poetry about it, just on some fucking mental shit. Like, just had to get your frustrations out and shit like that. But let's go back to the team, man. You got a song called Pops. Yeah. You know, was your Pops a part of that song, or was that just strictly? So, he was. I just wrote it for him, and then I had him play guitar to it later. Okay. You know? Yeah. But that's basically What was his feedback on it? So there's a video of it. I don't know if you saw the video, you know what I mean? But I play it for him for the first time, and he tears up and shit. Okay, I need to go watch that then. Yeah, it's out there. It's on my Facebook, on the Wildcard QM Facebook or whatever. But I play it for him for the first time ever. He never heard it before, and I recorded the shit on my phone too. Damn. You know? And it was like, I realized I had, all the thing, even though I was telling the truth about how he was, and, I felt like that it hurt him, you know what I'm saying? It hurt his feelings, you know what I mean? Like, even though he's a tough guy and shit. Do you think initially it hurt his feelings, or is it all still... the years of me saying my dad was on dope, like my dad was this and my dad was that or whatever, even if it was too, I don't know. It was true. Like, we had a lot of shit in, but it's just, I was basically saying, like, I'm sorry for saying that, to the world, over and over again. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Even though a lot of fans that are supporters and that I've run into have been like, dealt with that too. My mom was out here, my dad was out here, or whatever, So, but you should check that out. Joe, yeah, I'm a definitely. Yeah. Because I was wondering, I'm hearing, I'm like, damn, I wonder what his feedback was, right? When he heard this. Yeah, no, we recorded it and shit. Okay. Because it's the age of content too. Yeah. Which is something which you're good at, man. I'm trying. Good at that. I need to be better though, because I need to have a reel every fucking day. Yeah. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, man, why aren't these motherfucking records selling, man? You know what I'm saying? Where did his guitar come into play? Like, when did he start playing guitar? He always played guitar through my whole life. Before I was even born, he was a guitar player, and then I would hear him as a kid and this and that when he would be in the lab when I was a little kid, and I hear him the back house playing guitar, and then I thought, let's fuse his guitar to my you know what I'm saying, to my hip hop, like his classic rock generation with like our hip hop generation. That was the whole idea. Dead Poet comes back around. Yeah. Gets out. Game changer, I would imagine. And it's almost like his welcoming back, in a sense, it just, I'm looking at his numbers, I'm like, fuck, man, dude's doing numbers. Yeah, like, holy shit, you know? Man. So it's just like kind of picked up where you left off, in a sense, Well, yeah, I put a lot of work in too to make sure that, like, and then like, he's the hometown, he's from here. I'm not, I came here later in life or whatever, and people accepted me and had love for me, but he's this, grew up in Spokane and shit. So, and he's got the whole, the town, like people that loved him and shit. And then we're waiting for him to hear him you know what I'm saying, on the albums and shit, and
Yeah.
came out. So yeah, you know, and at that time I was struggling. Like by the time he got out, I was struggling with my own demons and
really?
shit. Yeah, so it was like it was a dark time for me, but great for him because he just hit the ground running, you know.
And I mean, referring back to Pops, man, I wanted to say, first of all, what I see, Odyssey, was it Suicide Blues?
Suicide King Blues.
Suicide King Blues, and the Glass Moon Deluxe.
Yeah, yeah,
I feel like killing it.
yeah.
Killing it. I mean, not to say he doesn't, kill it on
No,
any
for
other
sure.
track, but
Yeah,
those
yeah.
stick out to me.
Yeah, yeah.
In particular.
You should come to the show and hear him live too.
Yeah.
Bro. Yeah.
I mean, shit, I would love to see it in the damn
Yeah, 'cause-
studio. I mean,
yeah,
because
yeah.
I would imagine he's just feeling it out. I mean, are you kind of like, or you just let him do his own thing?
Most of the time, I'll let him do his own thing. Once in a while, I'll be like, let's try that differently or something.
Okay.
But most of the time, for him, he'll hear the beat. It's the best to let him hear it for the first time and then let him play with it. And then he'll just get it because he just speaks that language, you know? So that's why he's like magical. I got that bloodline, you know, is that you hear it, he has a musical ear, you know?
You got a, well, I guess before I even say, you got the Western Promises out, like you said. And I know, like I said, you've been spitting out projects. Mm-hmm. Was it somebody told you got to put them out faster?
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
And
Self-titled, my dude, who's like an OG to me, is like a big underground legend, you know, said, you kind of wait a little too long between projects, and he's fucking was right, you know? So that's all I needed was the guidance of like somebody that knows, you know what I mean? And then I'd be like, yeah, you're right, man. I got way too much to say and way too much time, like short of time left in my life to do this, so let's go, you know?
You got a line that sticks out in my head. You said, raise your hand if you've ever been jealous of someone else's success. I know I have.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, I feel like you've sold out shows, tours.
Oh, for sure.
Everything you've done with, I mean, you got songs with Crooked Eye, Mad Child. I mean, everything. But do you still feel that way?
You know what? That's the truth. I mean, that's the truth. That's the reality of it, is there's always somebody bigger, celebrating their accolades on my news feed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So the point is that rather than, like I said in the song, is that, I've been there like, man, fuck this motherfucker, man. Why has he just got millions of, you know what I mean? Like, that's just, that's the truth. That's real, But don't ask, a friend of mine said, don't ask why, but ask how. Like, how, what moves did they make? Like, what, That's the truth. And I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's the truth for me, for sure, But I don't sit there and hate. Like, I'm like, nah, I got something to say. Let me do it.
Well, because I asked because we in Spokane.
Yeah,
it seems like everyone's kind of at each other's throats trying to be competitive, know?
Yeah.
And it's kind of why that line sticks out a little bit, you know? It's just because, like, that's what we're dealing with here in Spokane, you know what I mean? What do you got to say for any, get a people, any sort of uplifting and not just be at each other's throats?
Yeah,
and shit?
man. I mean, when I got into the music game at all, I didn't, I came into it knowing I have the talent that I have. I want to keep my circle small with the people that I trust around me, and you know what I mean, and just do what I want to do and build a fan base organically, and they come to the shows and they tell their people rather than being like, fighting over anything and shit. I'm too old for that shit, you know what I'm saying? I was too old for it when I was too young for it too, you know what I'm saying? So I don't know, man. I just focus on your talent, you know what I'm saying? And I don't know, for me, I hate the hate and love the love, you know what I'm saying? I just don't like the hate shit. So you don't see me on there trying to critique or tell nobody.
That's one thing I've learned. It's just love.
Yeah,
man.
because the minute you say something, there's 9 motherfuckers in there talking about what you should and shouldn't say and all this shit. So I don't even do that.
I try to let everybody know the real. Like,
you know what it is. You know what I mean?
like, look, I love you. Here it is. And hopefully you don't take it this way, you know?
Yeah. But not even that. But not even critique, but just hating on anybody else.
Yes.
That shit was going back way back in the day, before we even probably in my grandpa's era with the fucking classical music, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, the motherfuckers were hating, classical beefs were going on, I'm sure. So it's not like we're just new, but a lot of people get smoked and beat up and fucking problems, and that shouldn't happen. So,
real quickly, I wanted to get into this last thing before we, bounce out of here. But Western Promises, man, what do you want to tell the people about it, man?
Man, they probably won't see this, but tomorrow night I got a little listening party at the Red Room Lounge. I said they won't see this before tomorrow.
Right.
But it's a cool ass project. A lot of people like it. I got good publicity about it, and it's something where if you've never heard a Wildcard project before and you like bars and you like slumpers, that would be something that I would love for you to check out. And I even say it on there. On the very first song, you know what I'm saying, is that shout out to anybody that ever took time out of their life to listen to my music, because that means a lot.
With you constantly working, we got anything else in the works? I know you just got off the tour and whatnot.
Yeah, no, I'm trying to get another tour. Like, there's more places we didn't go, we got to go. Like, all that, you know what I mean? So there's a lot of things turning, in the mix. And my dude Bars is out there. Me and him are going to do a project. And I'm just going to keep doing everything I can to keep as many projects coming out.
Well, where can the people reach you at, man?
So wildcardqm.com, facebook.com/wildcardqm, Instagram Wildcard the Dragon, TikTok Wildcard the Dragon, YouTube Wildcard the Dragon, and 1-800. No, I'm kidding, but that's it right there, man.
Man, the dude's a grinder right here, man.
I appreciate you, man, for real. Thanks for having me, man. Thanks for everybody.
I appreciate you coming through.
Yeah.
I think the city needs this. The city needs this. I got one with Demrick. The city needs to hear that. That's one
dope.
As well.
Yeah, he's dope, man.
So the city needs these things right here, man.
Cool, man.
What it is. It's Grind 365, the podcast. Fucking, you can look us up. YouTube, Spotify, anywhere your podcast platform is at. We should be there, man, and be looking out for this dude, man. He's far from over. You know what I'm saying? Far from over. I appreciate you coming through.
Appreciate it, bro.
All right. Salute.